tell me and everybody how you got here.
I got here because of my coach mainly. He has spoken with you before with Keith, if any of the people watching remember Keith. I think you guys spoke for an hour, if you remember that.
So your coach is your yoga coach.
Boxing coach.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And he's been telling you about the flat Earth, and you're having a difficult time with it.
Basically, yeah, we talk about it, we discuss it, and I argue my points and he argues his, and it's good to hear from him as well. I like the, I don't fully oppose the research or the ideas, but we talk about it all the time, yeah.
So I just trying to find a nice place to start, and the place I like starting today is I've never observed rotation or curvature. I've never felt rotation. I've never observed curvature. You've never felt rotation. You've never observed curvature. So why do you think the Earth is a globe?
I mean, there are many reasons why I believe the Earth is a globe.
Hold on. Let's take them apart one at a time. Give me your best reason that you think the Earth is a globe.
The concept of gravity proves that the Earth is a globe.
Okay, well, the concept of gravity. Do you know what gravity is?
I believe I do, to the best of my knowledge.
So what is gravity? I mean, there's two types of gravity. There's Einsteinian gravity and Newtonian gravity. They keep switching back and forth. But the gravity that they talk about, where mass attracts mass, is just a theory. And it's never been proven. And it's 96% wrong because there's not enough mass. So they made up dark matter and dark energy to explain the missing 96%. Now, if I come up with a theory on something that is 96% wrong, you basically throw out the theory. You don't make up something to fill it in. So they made up dark matter and dark energy, and they say, well, it has to be true, otherwise gravity's wrong. Well, maybe gravity's wrong.
So the concept of dark matter and dark energy, first of all, not only are they new, but they're not needed for me to prove that gravity exists.
So go ahead and prove gravity exists.
Well, first of all, I'd like to, because I want to make sure that I understand your concept of what gravity basically is, because gravity doesn't exist, right? So what my coach has been telling me is that basically that the concept of buoyancy and density are the forces that are keeping us down rather than the force of gravity. Is this correct?
Incorrect. Buoyancy and density are what sort everything else out. So if I had a helium balloon, some marbles, and some ping pong balls in my hand, and I held them over a pool and I let them go, the balloons are going to go up, the ping pong balls and marbles are going to go down, the ping pong balls will stay on the top of the water, and the marbles will sink to the bottom due to density, buoyancy and density.
Okay. So let me ask you this. So in Newton's first law of motion, which is considered, I believe is considered the law of inertia, it states that an object at rest stays at rest and an object in motion remains in motion at the same constant speed unless acted upon by an unbalanced force. So for us as people, so based on Newton's first law, for everything on this earth, basically everything in space in general, all of matter, must the way that we are exerted down and not able to, let's say, just float out of nowhere, there has to be a force that is keeping us down right now at this time. The force that is keeping you down in your chair, for example.
So let me just jump in. Some flat earthers will disagree with you. I won't. I completely 100% agree with you.
Okay, so you believe that there's a force that is keeping us to this degree of down, basically. Correct. Okay, so then the argument kind of starts with, like, what force do you believe it is if it is not gravity?
Okay, let's talk about it. You ready?
Yep.
So just to say, flat Earth thinks that down is down for everybody. Australia, New Zealand, America, down is down. And on the globe, everybody thinks down is towards the very center of the Earth. Somehow, the molecule at the center of the Earth, at the very center, says, I'm the center, everything come towards me. Okay? You know, and the molecule that's halfway between the center and the surface, he's like, no, I must go towards the center. I shouldn't go towards the top. I shouldn't go left. I shouldn't go right. I need to go towards the center. So somehow that molecule has designated himself as the center of gravity, which is a made-up story. Okay? So
I'm very confused when you say a molecule.
Well, I'm saying there has to be a point. Everything, if you break everything down, dirt, houses, people, everything breaks down to the smallest point. I'm just saying the atom, if you believe in atoms, the speck at the very center of the Earth says everything must come towards me, because that's how gravity works. Gravity pulls everything towards the center, right? I don't know why that happens. It's a made-up story, but that's the story of gravity. Science says that gravity is a very weak force, right? You've heard that. It's a weak force.
Yes.
Okay.
Compared to other forces.
Well, compared to other forces, like the electrostatic force, for example, they say is 10 to the 36 power stronger than gravity. Now, this is what science says. I don't believe them, because 10 to the 36 power is ridiculous, right? 1 trillion times stronger is 10 to the 15th power. Okay. So 10 to the 36 power, I can't even fathom what that is, but that's what science says. That's what the gravitationalists, globalists say it is. Tongue twister. And they say it's 10 to the 36 power stronger. So let's look at what the electrostatic force is, right? We've all seen, electrostatic force makes your hair go up. It holds clouds in the sky. Right, there's trillions of tons of water in clouds, but for some reason they're floating, and we claim it's electrostatically. But how can we test that, right? So here is what we think the Earth is. We think the Earth, it works like, what's going on here? There we go. Sorry. We think the Earth works like this. We have the sun and the moon, which are the anode and cathode. The salt water carries the current. The land is a salt bridge, and it's a giant battery system. The Earth has a negative charge or a neutral charge.
This is what you believe?
Yeah, 100%. Okay? The Earth has a testable, neutral, negative charge, whatever you want to call it. And the air, anything above the Earth, is surrounded by a positive charge. And now you know that positive and negatives attract each other 10 to the 36 times stronger than gravity. This is according to science. I don't believe them, but let's go with what science says. And so the question is, how can we test that? So I'm looking for, here we go. So here's a little test that we did. Okay. We had some helium balloons left over from a party. We tied them to this button. There's a little button right here. And we have it's just neutrally floating over the floor about a couple inches. This wire is going to a Van de Graaff generator, and we're going to crank a positive charge into this, making it a higher positive charge. And when we do that, it goes down. Okay, why is it going down? Did we make it heavier? Or did we just change the electrostatic charge of it? Okay.
Yeah, you're changing a force.
Well, no. We're changing the electrostatic charge. So what's heavier? I don't know. I don't know the whole periodic table. But if you look at from the lightest to the heaviest element, each one has one more positive charge to it. As you go up in the chart, it's a stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger positive charge. The more that positive charge, the more it's attracted to a negative charge, the Earth. The Earth is not moving. So it goes down when we add a positive charge. It goes up when we discharge that. What's the opposite of that? Well, we can put a negative charge into this, and when we do, as long as we maintain that negative charge, it rises up. Now, is that defying gravity, or is that defying the proven electrostatic force?
How would it be defying either? If you're putting an electrostatic force on something and then it is beating it and it rises.
I'm not putting electrostatic force on anything. I am changing its charge, right? So do you agree?
How do you know that isn't electromagnetism a force? So wouldn't that be a force?
I'm not making it a magnet. I am just changing its electrostatic charge. The helium in a balloon is lighter than it goes up because its electrostatic charge is less than the air around it. Okay? It is more of a positive charge than the air around it. Okay? So I'm just changing the electrostatic charge. Now let's pretend gravity's real, okay? And I drop something and it goes down. Well, you have gravity. Let's put a gravity as a one gravitational force. We'll say it's a force of one pulling it down. And then we have the electrostatic charge, which is 10 to the 36 times more strong than that. How can one claim that it's gravity that's pulling it down when I just showed you experiments showing you the electrostatic force is real, and you can't show me a single experiment that shows that gravity is real?
There's plenty of experiments that do that, but
wait, no,
I'm not gonna lie.
Hold on, you can't say there's tons of things. Yeah, at the beginning you said there's tons of proofs. Well, I said, give me your best. So you came up with gravity, and now I'm showing you experiments, and now you say there's tons of experiments, and I'll give you plenty of time to show me. But here's just one other thing. This is a silent drone that MIT just built, okay? No moving parts. It's doing nothing. It weighs more than the air, but it flies when they put a negative charge into it, okay? The more of a negative charge they put into it, the higher it goes, okay? So what are they defying? Are they defying gravity or the electrostatic charge of the Earth?
I'm not gonna lie. So I came to this podcast ready to disprove the concept of buoyancy and density versus gravity. I want to ask you now, do you believe the force that is keeping us on this Earth, electromagnetism, or do you believe it's buoyancy and density? Because you said both now.
So buoyancy and density work with gravity and work with electrostatics. There's no difference. Buoyancy and density.
You mean work with gravity? You don't believe in gravity.
No, but in your model, if gravity was real and I pulled a basketball 5 feet underneath the surface of the water and I let it go, why is it going to go up?
Okay, yes. Buoyancy and density apply to my version of physics, yes.
And mine too.
But gravity doesn't apply.
Well, gravity is a made-up force. You have no proof of gravity.
So the only difference is
that matter attracts matter like that.
Exactly. Okay, so the only difference is that my concept of buoyancy and density involves the concept of gravity, and yours does not.
Right, but you have no proof of gravity. I just showed you proof of electrostatic force. Now you show me proof of a gravitational force.
I've never wanted to disprove the electrostatic force. It doesn't disprove gravity regardless.
Well, so how can you claim gravity's real when you can't prove it?
It can be proven.
How? The only experiment that's ever been done is the Cavendish experiment, and that has been taken apart so many times. Where a guy had two lead balls in a shed, and they attracted each other. But every single thing on Earth, without exception, has an electrostatic charge. Okay, everything without exception, everything.
Yes, but there are, but not everything that has a positive charge. Not everything. Wait, do you believe positive charge or negative charge goes down? I don't even know at this point. Positive or negative goes down.
The higher the positive charge, the heavier it is.
Okay, so do you believe that everything negative goes up? Everything negatively charged has to fly or has to levitate?
No, it depends on how much mass it has, right? You know.
Okay, so you're saying that your your understanding of the force that we have that pushes us down is also based on mass, such as Newton, correct?
No. I'm saying, like, I don't know, like if I had a piece of lead, I don't think I can get a negative charge in. I don't think I can make it completely negative because it would come apart, I think. I don't know how that works. I've never seen that. I've never done that experiment. So I can't speak to that, but I can show you, as I just did, as I am showing you right here, this is flying because it has a negative charge to it relative to the air around it. That's why it's flying. That's why it's flying.
Mm-hmm. So let me understand this. So if I take a book right now and I drop it and it falls on the floor, what force is acting upon it that is pushing it to the floor?
It has a higher positive charge than the earth below it, and it's buoyant. It's more dense than the air surrounding it. Okay. But if you filled the room with water, the book would float because it's less dense than the water around it. You can drop an anvil and it will sink to the bottom of the ocean, but you put an anvil in a pool of mercury, it'll float.
So basically, I've come here to debate buoyancy, and now we're talking about the concept that you believe that this book is falling to the floor is based on electromagnetism. So really, all you have to do or all I have to do, is just show you any form of object on any point on Earth that is positively charged, that is negatively charged, that falls as well, and that would disprove your entire theory. Correct?
If it's completely negatively charged, yeah, I think it would.
Well, do you even understand what you mean when you say completely negatively charged?
Well, yeah, like you can't take a piece of lead and make it completely negatively charged. You can't do it. Now you can put
none of it is based. So, what is your formula for things falling to the floor? What is the formula? What is the?
You know what? If you really want to talk about the formula, you should listen to Wits It Gets It. He knows all the formulas. I'm just doing basic stuff. I'm showing you this guy in Russia created this machine that's definitely heavier, that should be being pulled down by gravity, but he's changing it to its negative charge is so strong, it floats in the air. Okay. So, this is stuff that's been hidden from us that we're not taught in school. We're told it doesn't exist, but it does exist.
We're told that any form of electrostatic force doesn't exist.
You're not taught about electrostatic propulsion.
Because it's not necessary.
It's not necessary for what?
For any form of use. For almost any form of use that is significant on Earth. How would we need that?
So you don't think that instead of taking, thousands of gallons of petrol and exploding it, that if we had something that could just change its charge and fly and use free energy, that's no use at all?
It's not even possible.
You say it's not possible, but there's technologies from the past where it looks like they were flying around. I mean, there's so much hidden technology. We're believing that we have to explode things to make things move, when the truth is, that there's free energy everywhere. And they don't want us to know that, because if we could tap into that, they can't control us with energy. The whole reason for this deception is to control the people. If they had free energy and unlimited food and knew that we weren't in a world where things were, we're running out of everything, because none of that is true. We're running out of space. That's not true. We're running out of fuel. That's not true. We're running out of water. That's not true. If everyone knew where they were, the true power that they had, and the free energy that's all surrounding us, the evil people that are trying to run this world would have no pull over us. Okay. And that's what this whole thing is about. And they have people like yourself and others that will fight to protect themselves, the fight to protect the prison. I mean, you're locked into your belief in gravity that you just said that there's no such thing. There's no use for electrostatic propulsion. Okay. I've never even heard anyone say that.
I mean, why you guys should make use of it then? You're a very big group of people who make use of it then.
Well, a lot of people are. I was just with a guy in Mexico that is building cars that run on water.
That's not electrostatic force.
I'm just saying he's using technology that we're told doesn't exist. Okay, and he's ripping.
Not doesn't exist. Water. I forget the word for it. Water electricity force. It's what is it called? Water electricity force. That is a very known force that you even learn in school. We even learn what's it called? Do you know the name of this force I'm talking about? What the force of water and electricity? That's a very famous force. You can't say that.
Well, I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm saying, where are the cars running on water? How come we don't have that? What? There's no use for that? Is that the next?
There's plenty of use for it, but you can't.
So there's no use for it.
So the force that you name, electrostatic force, is the force that we didn't learn in school. But you haven't shown a use for that. You're showing a force that everybody knows of, or an energy source that everybody knows of. Everybody knows of the force of water electricity.
So what if you can change the if you could fly? What if you can make your car fly if you change its electrostatic force, and then and fly around with very little energy? That would be a pretty damn good, useful thing, right?
Yeah.
All right. So to say that there's no use for it is very I don't know, closed-minded. Is that the best word? So let's get back. So you're arguing about gravity. Is that's your best proof? Do you have anything else that would make you think we live on a ball? I mean, because if you really want to talk about...
I could get into curvature, but I still want to stay on gravity but the thing I don't know, because it's like you're saying shit that it's very hard to even believe. It's even hard for me to sit here and believe.
What's the
believe
belief?
that
What's the believe? This is flying.
every single thing that's falling is positive. It has to be positively charged, and anything negative, anything fully negatively charged.
That's not a belief. That's not a belief. That's a scientific fact.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Show me that. Show me where's the scientific fact.
Go look. If things fall that are positively charged. I know you're not going to look.
It's your proof. You should show me. You should show me where science says that.
There's plenty of experiments that have been done. You can just look them up. I'm not going to do the work.
Experiments. You said science. You said my science because you pretend like I'm showing you college science. So you have to show me where that came from.
I just showed you some experiments. MIT making an electrostatic flying drone. That has nothing to do with what I just asked you.
No,
but I'm not prepared. I have the lab. I don't have the science in front of me, but I'm showing you.
I want a quote. You specifically just said that my science states that everything negatively charged floats. I'm only asking you, where can I find that? Who? Even give it a name. Somebody who said this.
You know what? I'll look it up. I'll look into it. But that's just how it works, right? That's how it works. It has to be. Yeah, I'm gonna hold off. Let me look that up, and I will get back to you on that. But the thing is, you're still holding on to gravity, which you haven't proven, and your scientists say
the only reason I haven't proven is because
electrostatic force is ridiculously multiples times stronger than gravity. Now, are you saying that they're wrong, that they're lying?
No.
Your scientists say that it's stronger. I just showed you that it's real. You're just denying it and saying, oh, no, the weak force of gravity is what's making things go down, but I can't prove it.
I can't prove it in the way that you want me to, because if I drop something, or if I'm explaining how the force of things go down, that's not enough proof for you, because you're trying to say it's electromagnets. You're trying to say it's electrostatic force. You're trying to say that the electrostatic force is what's keeping us positive, because we're positively charged organisms, that we're positively charged, and that's the reason that everything is the way it is when it comes to being pushed to the floor.
Yes.
And now I'm asking you, and then I said everything negatively charged has to float then, and then you said yes, a scientist has said that, and I asked you what.
No, I didn't say a scientist said that, but you
said science says that. My bad, science.
Yes, science says that. So okay, yeah, I'll find out. I'll find that for you. I'm going to stand behind that. So let's your science, your gravity says the reason the air doesn't fly off into the zero pressure vacuum of space is because of gravity.
Repeat that one more time.
Why doesn't the air on Earth, we live on a high pressure system, fly off into space? Because space, according to science, is a Torr 17 vacuum, no pressure. Why doesn't it equalize? Which gas fills its available space? Why doesn't the gas, the air of the Earth, fly off into space?
Once again, gravity.
Okay. So your claim,
I believe it's gravity. I haven't.
Well, no. That is the official story. But let's think this through logically. Let's think it through logically. Okay. So you're saying that hold on a second. You're saying that the gravity is holding the air down, right? It's holding the air down to the Earth, right? So the Earth gravity is holding the air down, and then the air gets. I'm going to help you out. Gets thinner and
you also
thinner.
have an atmosphere. Just want to let you know.
Well, the atmosphere. I'm talking about the atmosphere. And,
all right, good.
Why doesn't it all get sucked off into space?
I mean, I believe the official story, like you said, is gravity, correct?
Okay,
that's what the scientists say.
So can you show me in a lab or in nature anywhere where high pressure can be next to low pressure at any orientation without a physical container?
You're going to have to say that again. What?
Can you show me anywhere in a lab or in nature, there's no other places, where high pressure can be adjacent to low pressure without a physical barrier?
Can you explain how that's relevant to
because the Earth our atmosphere is high pressure. It's adjacent to no pressure, a vacuum so strong that we can't even recreate it on Earth. And there's no barrier in your world. So how does the air...
Isn't the atmosphere a barrier?
No. The atmosphere is air. It's adjacent to a void, a vacuum. A vacuum so powerful that we can't create on Earth. We can create like a Tor-10 vacuum. NASA has a vacuum chamber, and the walls are like 10 feet thick, steel and concrete, so it doesn't implode, okay? But somehow, the air just sticks to the Earth and doesn't go into space. And you're saying gravity is holding it down. I just want to make sure that's what your stance is.
Basically.
Basically. So what does basically mean? Means yes or means not really?
I've never researched it, but I mean, it would make sense that gravity would keep the Earth on this...
Let's have a discussion about it now. It would make sense, you're saying, that gravity could hold the air down. But, you know, a summer breeze can blow the air left and right, up and down. I could jump, birds can fly, feathers can float. But gravity is going to hold the air down. Now, is your understanding, your science says, gravity's stronger closer to Earth, and it's a little bit less the higher you go. So the higher you go, gravity is a little bit less. Does that make sense to you? Gravity weakens over distance? That is the official story.
It would have to be an insurmountable distance, but yes.
Okay, so if you measured the gravity on Earth, where I'm standing, it's 1G, and at 100,000 feet, it's less than 1G. Maybe a fraction, but it's less. It's not more.
I believe so, yes.
Okay, so let's think about this experiment. We have a glass box, a fish tank, if you will, and we put it on the ground, and we seal it. It's completely sealed all six sides. Okay, and we have a little trap door on the top of it that's closed. Okay, and it's just filled with just the air from the room. Then we get another one, and we stack it right on top of it, and we suck out 10% of the air, so it's only got 90% of the regular air pressure. And it's got a little trap door on the bottom and one on the top, and they're closed. And then we put one on top of that has 80%, 70, 60, 50, all the way up to the top one is a vacuum, and they're all sealed together. Now, what happens when I press the remote and all of those trap doors open? What happens? Well, you know what happens. The air in the bottom shoots up to the top and the entire thing equalizes. Okay? Why didn't gravity hold that air down? Now, that's
because
an
the mass
experiment.
wasn't significant.
What's that?
I believe the mass is not going to be significant.
The mass of what? The mass of what?
Whatever the shoe box or whatever you're
talking
about. Whatever's holding the air.
It's a box. Whether it's a 10-gallon fish tank size or each box is the size of an Amazon warehouse. Okay, well, hold on. I just want to make sure you understand. When we open up all those connections, all of the air will shoot up and fill the void until it's equalized. Okay. Now we're closer to Earth. The gravity's stronger. Why didn't it hold the gravity down? In your world of gravity holding air down, I could hold a shoebox and I could suck all the air out of this room and the air in the shoebox would stay in the box because gravity's holding it in. But you know that won't happen. Air fills the available space equally.
Yes, but in your concept, you're saying that outside of the Earth, there's your concept of the vacuum is like an actual vacuum that would just take all the air and take it away.
I'm not saying a vacuum like a vacuum cleaner. I said a void of no pressure. Okay, that's what space is.
So why would that retract the air from the Earth?
Because if I had two rooms in a house, the upstairs room had no air in it, and the downstairs room it was just regular air pressure, and I opened up a valve on the door, a hole, instantly that air would violently fill the available space. It would go up, okay? It would go up, fill the available space. So here, I'll give you maybe a little...
Yes, but in that, even if that was true in that concept, that doesn't mean that there wouldn't...
It is true.
Even in that concept, there still would be air in both rooms.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
That wouldn't disprove anything.
No, so... Yes.
Whatever air that leaves the Earth can leave the Earth, but there still would remain a good amount of air on the Earth because of the force of gravity.
You know how violent it would be if you put a vacuum box on top of another box and you open it? It's explosive, right? But you're saying gravity's just casually sucking air off the Earth and the air is magically replenishing itself. Nobody believes that. Nobody says that.
The
right?
concept of, the vacuum came in and took all the air away, first of all, doesn't exist. And second of all, even if it did, in this no void space, that wouldn't have happened any time within, let's say, even millions of years ago. Because, so that event where the Earth shared its, let's say, I don't know, the air molecules, that moment where it shared its air molecules would have been long enough ago that you don't understand it now.
So
but now the Earth holds its air.
So if I had a bottle with no air in it, I suck the air out of it, got a top on it, I turn the bottle upside down, I hold it above my head, and I open it, what's it going to do? It's going to suck the air right up into it. Well, that's the vacuum of space. I'm closer to Earth than the vacuum of space. Why is it sucking the air up? Here's a balloon, and there's just a little bit of air in it, okay? And it's just sitting there, and the balloon is hanging down because I say the electrostatic force, you say gravity. That's fine, okay? Now I put some air in it. What's this air trying to do? It's trying to get out in every direction. The gravitational force that's holding air down is not strong enough to stretch this balloon. Why does it stretch that balloon down? Gravity should be pulling on that balloon, but it's not, right? Put air in it, it's trying to escape in all directions, including up, okay? Gravity, this should be flat on the top in your world.
Do you consider, wait, are you questioning why balloons fly? Because that is it.
No, I'm not questioning why balloons fly. I'm pointing out that gravity can't hold air down, okay? I could take a little fan and send air up in it, and the stream of air will just keep on going until it fades out. But gravity is supposed to be holding it down in your world. That's a childish belief.
Because you have not seen the tip top of where air has gone. If you go all the way up, you don't see air just like go on forever. Eventually it would stop.
With the experiments that I just showed you, a bottle upside down, the stack of tanks, right? It pulls the air up and away from strongest point of gravity, low to the ground, but the vacuum of space cannot do it. That's a belief. That is a childish belief with zero evidence anywhere in any lab, any nature, anywhere that has ever proven that you can do such a crazy thing.
What?
You can't have high pressure next to low pressure without it equalizing.
What is the high pressure again? Earth?
All of the air on Earth is high pressure.
Okay.
Okay? And people
would be low pressure. It would be low pressure at the top of the Earth versus the bottom. You understand that, right?
It's air gets thinner and thinner as you go up. I'll give you that.
Yes.
But you need a container.
So it would be low pressure, in fact.
You need a container to have air pressure. So if I have a big tank of fuel, right, of oxygen or propane, right? If I asked you to go get me some propane for the grill, but don't bring the tank, you couldn't do it. But then you bring me a half a tank of propane.
You're thinking of concepts that are on the Earth when we're talking that are like within this space. When you're talking about a concept, okay, since this can for whatever needs a container to be on top of it, the Earth also needs a container to be on top of it.
No.
If you want to think of a container, why have you not thought of the atmosphere?
The atmosphere is not a container. The atmosphere is air.
The atmosphere can also be considered a container, can it not? Why
no,
could
it
not?
cannot. A container needs to be a solid container. Like
so it needs to be solid now.
A container needs to be solid. Yes, you need a solid substance to be a container. Right? If I had a mesh, if I had some I don't know, a net, I can't bring a gallon of water home in a net. Right? I can't bring a tank of propane home if the tank is made of propane. Okay? I need a tank made of steel to bring the propane home. Okay? And when you have a tank, the bottom part is the thickest and it gets thinner and thinner, and then it turns to air and it gets thinner and thinner towards the top. And you can measure that where the top is the thinnest and the bottom is the thickest. Okay? But if you put a hole anywhere in that container, bottom side or top, all of it will disappear. Okay? We on a globe do not live in a container. Okay? It is scientifically impossible to have air adjacent to a vacuum. You need to do some research on that.
You keep saying vacuum, and then you say it's a void of.
What do you want
then
me to,
say
hold
a
on. What do you
void.
want me to? Well,
why do you say when you say vacuum, you confuse not only yourself but other people?
No. I'm confusing you because you think of a vacuum cleaner. Okay,
I do not think of a vacuum cleaner. That is what most people in the flat Earth.
So what does science call space? They say it's a vacuum. I say it's a void / vacuum. I try to make it.
So you're saying that space is a void, correct?
And you're not?
I completely agree.
Okay, a void, no pressure, vacuum, all the same thing.
So a void, no pressure, vacuum, there's nothing that you have said, or there's no form of experiment that can say that just because there's a void of space above the Earth, that the air that is within the Earth cannot stay using the force of gravity.
What happens if I tied this balloon off just the way it was and I brought it up to 100,000 feet? What would happen?
What would happen if a balloon flew 100,000 feet up in the air?
No. Listen again. This balloon that only has a little bit of air in it, it's not even stretching the plastic. If I tied it off right now and brought it up to 100,000 feet, what would happen?
I would need to see it. I couldn't.
It would explode. Exactly. It would explode. Okay, because the air would try to expand. It would try to fill the available space. Okay.
You said you would tie it off, correct?
I would tie it off. It would explode.
So then it would be pretty much impossible to get air in.
Well, there's already air in it. There's a little bit of air in it. That amount of air.
So how would more air get in it? Why would it explode?
No, it would try to fill the available space because
you just said you would tie it off. If you tie it off, air will not fill inside it. It's very difficult.
No, the air inside it is trying to fill the available space.
Yeah, unless you have an experiment, I do not believe that if you tied that balloon and put it 100,000 feet in the air, it would just explode out of nowhere.
You ever go on an airplane and have a water bottle that's half full or something, and then when you get up to altitude where, cruising altitude, where the pressure in the cabin is barely changed, but it has dropped a little bit, that the bottle it's pressurized, you open it, it's like, psh, okay? That's because the air in it is trying to fill the available space. Now, if you sucked all of the air out of the airplane, the bottle would explode. Right? So there's a million experiments. Let's go on YouTube and say, can in a vacuum chamber. They explode. Okay? They absolutely explode.
Okay. Well, since you've explained that concept, could you explain exactly how that disproves the proof of gravity?
So let me just finish the concept here. This is a satelloon. This is what satellites hang from. And this balloon looks like it barely has any air in it. But when it gets up to altitude, it is literally the size of a football stadium. It fills up because the air is trying to escape. Okay? So there's your experiment with the balloon. I'm just showing you that that's what happens. And you can look this up. This is what satellites are hanging from. They're all hanging from balloons, just so you know. And what was your question you just asked me?
How any of this disproves the concept of gravity.
I don't need to disprove gravity. You need to prove it. You need to claim a positive claim. You're saying that mass attracts.
You can't disprove. So you can't disprove the proof of gravity.
I'm a unicorn.
I'm very confused here.
Prove to me that I'm not a unicorn. Okay, I'm a unicorn. I identify as a unicorn. Prove to me.
Okay, so that's what I feel like. Okay, so what was the point of coming up with this concept of the air density if you couldn't use it to disprove gravity, which is
what I'm showing you is the laws of thermodynamics say you can't have high pressure next to low pressure without a physical container. I'm showing
and I've said it repeatedly that gravity answers all those questions. And
gravity,
you didn't disprove
no, I said, can you show me an experiment on Earth or in a lab where you can have high pressure next to low pressure, and you can't. I showed you experiments that show you that the air will go up and away from gravity when you have lower pressure above it. Okay,
but you haven't shown it on a concept where you have something as massive as the Earth compared to.
Oh, so I need to do an experiment as big as the Earth. Is that what you're saying?
That's the only way you'd be able to prove something at this mass, or maybe another planet.
What is your name?
Maybe another planet.
What is your name?
My name is Natal.
Natal.
Yes.
Enjoy your globe. Enjoy it, okay? Because you are limiting your life. You are limiting the expanse of your thought. You are diluting creation. You are flying through infinite space. You're an infinite speck. that came from nowhere, right? A big bang happened in your world, then rocks stuck together and gas balls stuck together. They left a void, a vacuum, no pressure.
Hey. I'm still a Christian. I'm still a Christian. Don't say none of that.
No. This is what you believe if you believe in the globe.
I don't have to believe in the Big Bang Theory to believe in a globe.
Oh, so God just created the universe? Is that what happened? That's fine. Either way, it's the story is fantastic, right? All right, and then lightning struck and created an amoeba that turned into a fish, that turned into a frog, that turned into a human. Okay, and you believe that as things have mutations, they get more organized. That my eyeball came from nothing, came from. The idea of evolution is ridiculous. Even the people like Dawkins, if you ask them about it, they're so confused. They don't even understand how it works. It's nonsense. The heliocentric ball requires evolution. Okay, it makes you an insignificant.
How does it require evolution? Heliocentric theory requires evolution.
Yeah, that's what the whole thing is based on, right? Evolution.
How is that possible?
You know what? I if you don't understand that, I'm not getting into that whole thing. But you are ignoring creation. There's a video on my app. You probably don't have my app. And under biblical stuff, there's over 200 verses in the Bible, starting on page 1, Genesis, that talk about a flat, immovable earth. Okay, God separated the waters from the waters. It had the two great lights: the sun to rule the day, the moon to rule the night. Right? It doesn't say anything about a sphere. Right? It does
say about a circle. It says about a circle.
So you can look up anywhere you want. What is a circle? A circle is a line that has all of its points equal from the center point on a plane, right? A circle is a line on a plane where you have a center point and every point on that line is the same distance from that center point. That is a circle. That is where we live. We live in a circle. Okay.
Yes, but that would have to require a flat plane, which obviously doesn't exist because things are not flat on the floor.
We live on a
circle is a two-dimensional
plane.
space, but we are not. A circle is a two-dimensional shape, but we are not two-dimensional beings, so it's obviously not real. That he meant a circle when he spoke about it in the Bible.
Natal, I can draw a map, a circle, and then I could put a pile of dirt here, and I could dig a hole there. It's still a circle. We live on a topographical plane, okay? And the circle of the Earth is the circle of where we live. Okay, the circle of where we live on this plane.
A sphere, which is basically the Earth, is based off of the concept of a circle.
Where does it say in the Bible that the Earth is a sphere?
Maybe they didn't have the word for a sphere at this time.
Oh, so now
is that super hard to believe? Because a circle is literally just a third-dimensional sphere. A sphere is a third-dimensional circle.
Have you ever seen this map? This map was in every library, every school, every encyclopedia until the 1950s, and now it's gone. Okay? This is the circle of the Earth, right? Here's the topographical plane. Here's all of the waters. Here's all of the islands, the continents, right? They're all surrounded by water. But water, like air pressure, needs a container. Large bodies of water at rest are flat. Okay?
That concept of the Earth does not explain the time it takes to go from place to place on the Earth.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't. How I go from, let's go from the West Coast to China. The fact that it is much more farther away on your map rather than it is on, let's say, the actual globe map, because you can cross across the Pacific Ocean, that is an easy disproof of whatever map you're trying to show me.
So you're saying, if you're going from the West Coast to China, this way, it's the same on a globe. It's the same on a globe.
It's completely different on a globe.
It's exactly the same on a globe. It's exactly the same on a globe.
What do you mean it's exactly the same?
It's the same on a globe.
No, on a globe, they go across the Pacific Ocean. You haven't went across the Pacific Ocean. Do you understand that?
No, you don't go across the Pacific Ocean, okay? Have you looked into the emergency flight routes? Have you looked into Southern flights at all? I mean,
I've been spoken about the emergency landings, and that they were apparently wrong. I mean, I haven't researched them myself, but I've heard about the emergency landings.
What have you heard about them?
That people believe that there's been flights that have emergency landed, and they emergency landed off target from what they were supposed to be on target, so people use that as a flat Earth belief.
Well, the thing is, why where is it? Why, when there was an emergency here, why did they fly all the way up here to Seattle and got there in like 15 minutes? Okay, it's 1,000 miles out of the way. But it happens to be that Seattle is right on that flight route. Okay, right? So,
is there any news article on this?
Yeah, there is. I'll show you where to find all this stuff because we did all the work for you. Here's another one, right, where the emergency happened here. They flew all the way to Moscow. Well, that's a globe. Well, on a flat Earth, it happens to be that Moscow is right on that flight route. Okay, here's another.
Well, first of all, you have to understand that there might be there are plane routes that stop at certain cities or decide to go off course, like to stop at one place and then go to another place.
That's a flight plan. This is not a flight plan. This is emergency landing. Someone's having a heart attack. Someone's having a baby. They need to land in 15 minutes. So they're coming in from Singapore, from Beijing, heading to Dallas. Emergency. They went all the way up to Calgary, and they got there in an incredibly short amount of time. But if you look at it on a flat Earth, it happens to be right on that flight route, or on that flight path. Okay, this happens again and again and again. Right? Chicago to Doha. They went up to Moscow. Look how far Moscow is off. And this is where they said they were going. By the way, NASA is in charge of all of these flight routes, right? But again, Moscow's right on the flight route again and again and again. It happens again and again and again, right? Here's one. I got to show you another one, two more. And this one's going from New York to Auckland. And right here, they had an emergency and they went to Fiji. Why did they go to Fiji? Okay. That makes no sense. But if you look at it on a flat Earth map, Fiji is right there. Zoom in. Fiji is right on their flight route. Okay. But why every time there's an emergency landing, does it make perfect sense on a flat Earth? And here's one that happened just last year. Flying from Hong Kong, they were going all the way to Europe, but they landed in Germany because 4 hours into this 12-hour flight, a family's traveling together, little kids, father and mother. Mother died suddenly in her chair, dead, right? They need to land a plane. There's 50 different airports they could have landed at, but they didn't. Why didn't they land for 8 hours, right? Think of those kids sitting next to their mom, right? Because if you look at it on a flat Earth map, they were over Russia. And you can't land in Russia because, one, Russia would be very helpful. They'd be the good guys. Can't have that in today's climate. And two, people say, why are we over Russia, right? And then they ended up landing in Frankfurt. Rather than just continuing to London, they were almost there, 8 hours, kids are destroyed anyway. Again, another emergency landing that completely support the flat Earth. Completely. It's interesting. All right. And
this is interesting. I would say that.
Yeah. So
I've never looked at this, and now I see a bunch of flight paths. The only thing I need is for you to show me, like, proof that these flights were real.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And then I would research them myself. That's actually a very good. I actually like this proof.
Okay. So you can get the book. It's free online. Just look up 16 emergency landings. You can go to lulu.com and buy the hardcover, which I highly recommend. It's a beautiful book. And it documents the newspaper articles, the flight plans, every single thing, all of the data. It's already done, all researched for you, and it's all in there. It's beautifully printed. Excellent coffee table book. And then it'll show you. And there's actually more. There's two. I mean, the dead mom one isn't in there, and the Auckland one isn't in here. And they're happening all the time. Okay, they're happening more and more all of a sudden. Emergency landings. People are dying suddenly. Don't know what that's about.
Why is there a book if there isn't worldwide news, like a news report on this emergency landing?
Oh, no, these were news. The news will say, "Oh, this plane, mother had a baby, and they had to land." And no one. Oh, that's cool. They landed here. Awesome. No one actually looks at it. We looked at it. Like, why the hell did they land there? Right? Why did they land there? Right? It makes no sense.
So you don't have the news report with you?
No, the news report's all in. It's all in this book. It's all in the book. Okay. And there's videos about each one of these that you can find that'll show the news reports. Right. It makes no sense. Right. Remember the World Cup this year? Right. When they came back, they were on a chartered plane. They didn't need to go pick up other passengers. Why did they go to Rome and then to Buenos Aires. Well, once again, Rome is, they stopped in Rome for gas. If they just went straight home on the globe, they wouldn't have needed gas. But look, Rome is right here. Okay. And by the way, Rome is right on the line again and again and again. Now you can make an argument. I'm
confused why they wouldn't need to just get gas from Rome anyway and then just head to Buenos Aires, even if it wasn't on target.
Doha, Rome, gas, long flight over the ocean, home. Doha, going away from home to get gas, to fly the same friggin' distance from Rome that Doha is on the map. Okay? Yeah. That makes no sense. Why didn't they just use the gas that they took from here to here and flew from here to here?
That's a farther distance.
No, it's not. It's minimal, if anything.
So from Doha to Rome is a farther distance than from Doha to Buenos Aires.
From Rome to Buenos Aires or from Doha to Buenos Aires are essentially the same distance. Now, if you say,
well, that's pretty obvious.
Okay, so why didn't they fly from, let's say it took 90% of a fuel tank to get from Doha to Buenos Aires. Okay. Well, from Rome to Buenos Aires. Well, why didn't they do it here? Why did they fly this extra?
You just said that they didn't have gas. They had to pick up gas at Rome.
They very good. You're listening. So here they are. They can only make it to here. Well, that's over the ocean. So let's stop in Rome and get some gas. Airplanes fly straight and level over the earth plane. Okay. Airplane. Right. And think about an airplane. If you're a pilot, you think it would be easy to land on a runway that's moving? That would be really difficult. And you say, well, we're already spinning with the Earth. Well, do you know how fast the Earth is spinning at the equator in the heliocentric model?
I don't know the number.
1,000 miles an hour. That's faster than the speed of sound. Okay. So let me ask you a question. Okay. So we're in Alaska together, right? And the Earth is spinning, right? So we got the axis, the Earth is spinning. Now, the equator is just over 24,000 miles around. It takes 1 day to spin around. It's moving 1,000 miles an hour to make it back to where it is, 24,000 miles. But if you're in Alaska, that's a much smaller circle. So you're only moving about 300 miles an hour because Alaska, if you draw a circle around the North Pole, is a much smaller circle. So even though it's the same angular speed, 15 degrees per hour, it is a much shorter distance. Okay, do you understand that? You follow?
Basically, yes.
Basically, is that a yes or you don't follow?
I'm trying to understand, yeah.
So if I was 1 mile from the North Pole and I wanted to head east, right? So my right arm is pointing to the North Pole. I got 90 degrees to the east. Now I don't go straight. I have to keep turning to maintain the east. And I'll go around the North Pole and I'll come right back to where I started from. And I only went 6.28 miles. Okay. 6.28 miles from, is the circumference around the North Pole from being a mile away, right? You with me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going much, much slower than my friend who's sitting on the equator who has to go 24,000 miles around. Okay. So he's going 1,000 miles an hour. I'm going a quarter of a mile an hour. Okay. But we're both moving at the same angular speed, right? But our speed. So we're sitting on a runway in Alaska, North Pole, whatever. The Earth is allegedly moving 300 miles an hour, whatever. It doesn't matter the number. So I get in my plane. Plane flies up to 500 miles an hour. Now, do I add the 300 to that 500? No, but let's add it anyway, just for sake, right? So that's 800 miles an hour. I'm flying to Ecuador and I'm landing on a runway that's oriented north-south. That's moving sideways at 1,000 miles an hour. How do I land on that runway? I'm only going 800 miles an hour. How the hell can I land on that runway? It's spinning in a curved motion at 1,000 miles an hour, sideways, and I have to land on it.
Yeah, but wait. So you're saying how does an airplane fly from Alaska?
No. Well, first, an airplane flying from Alaska has to fly over and down like that, right? The runway is moving sideways at 1,000 miles an hour. Well, I'm not moving that fast. As I fly down, it's going to spin out from underneath me and I'll never catch up to it, right? How do I get that sideways speed of 1,000 miles an hour when I never had it before I took off? Okay. This is going to bend your brain, and you're going to have to make up shit to stand by your model, right? Because it doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense whatsoever.
You're asking basically about the angular trajectory of the Earth, and you're saying that as the Earth spins, my airplane shouldn't be able to get to a certain destination because the Earth is going to be at a different place the next day.
Do you agree that a runway on Ecuador is moving east at 1,000 miles an hour?
A runway moving east? Say it again?
You believe, if you're observing the Earth from a point in space, looking at the Earth, that if you're looking at a point on the equator, that it's moving eastwards at 1,000 miles an hour? 1,000 miles an hour.
Actually, okay, forget that. I completely okay. I understand the thing you said earlier. Can we get back to that? The thing about the plane reaching to the flying across the top of the North Pole. That concept. You're saying, how is the plane going to reach the country that it's trying to reach to in Africa? Look like Africa. But the reason that you're complicating that issue because you're pretending that the plane isn't also in motion the same way that the country is in motion.
You're
just
right.
Because
I agree with you. I agree with you right there.
So it's moving along with it. So it really has no relevance.
Well, I'm going to repeat what I said, and maybe it'll click in. Okay. If you're sitting on the equator, you're moving at 1,000 miles an hour. If I'm sitting at the North Pole, a mile from the North Pole, I'm moving less than a mile per hour. You're going 1,000 times miles per hour faster than I am. Because I'm sitting a mile from the North Pole, and I have to make a little 6.28 miles circle every 24 hours. You have to make a 24,000 mile circle every 24 hours. You're going 1,000 times, 1,000 miles per hour, 1,000 times 1,000 miles per hour faster than I am. More than that. I'm rounding down for your favor. And so how is my plane with no tangential speed able to fly to the equator and land on a runway moving 1,000 miles per hour? I got to show you one more thing. I got another show in 3 minutes, but I'm going to show you one thing. This is what you believe. You believe that we live on a ball spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, orbiting at 66,000 miles an hour, chasing the sun at 500,000 miles per hour, moving 3 different directions at once, ignoring that the entire solar system's moving. But somehow, all of the stars reset every year into the exact same position. Year after year, decade after decade, century after century, all of the stars never experience any parallax, even though we're never returning to where we were last year. We're 4.4 billion miles farther and farther from where we are today every year. Somehow,
I believe that the light stars that you're showing that are very, very like they're significantly farther away for our movement to be relevant, I believe.
Yeah. So you believe over hundreds and hundreds and thousands of years that 4.4 billion miles times 100,000 years, okay, there's no parallax. That's just a belief, a fantasy. You can't see that far. We didn't get into it. Go watch some of my videos about how you can't see a star that's a light day away, let alone a light year or 1,000 light years or 1,000,000 light years. Okay. You can't see it. You have to believe. And by the way, all of these things are not like flying an airplane. Airplane is a sealed container flying at 500 miles an hour in a straight line, right? You want to compare an airplane to just the slowest motion of the Earth to spin. You have to double the speed of the airplane. You have to take off the outside of the airplane, and you have to nose down a mile a minute just to follow the curve of the Earth. And then let me know how you're doing. So you believe that all of these curved motions, not straight motions, curved motions are happening, but you can't feel it, right? Just to give you an idea, this is the hypersonic sled track, right? It's going by a Mach 8.6. Mach 8.6. Watch it again, Mach 8.6. I go look it up and listen to the sound. Okay, Mach 8.6. You believe that we're orbiting the sun 10 times faster than that. We're chasing the sun 100 times faster than that, but we have lakes that look like this, okay? We have lakes that show that we're not moving. Stamp your foot next to that lake, and it's going to send a ripple across it. But you believe that we're corkscrewing through space in all these different curved directions, speeding up, slowing down at incredible speeds. Every day, we're increasing speed by 2,000 miles an hour and decreasing by 2,000 miles an hour as we come around from our trajectory. When you look into this and you believe all of that, you're not thinking, you're just believing nonsense. Okay.
It's really not just thinking or believing. It really is a genuine concept. I know you have a meeting in 1 minute, but I'll leave with this is all. The fact that the water stays at one point and doesn't need to ripple is because of the concept of gravity, which you still, to this minute, didn't disprove. And the concept of buoyancy and density is also, well, you got into the fact that it's protons and everything, but I'd like to say just that for that water example, that is all basically based on gravity. That's why you don't feel it.
So if you're in a car and you have a dinner, you're going 100 miles an hour in a car on a perfectly straight road, you have a dinner plate, you fill it with water. That car speeds up or slows down the tiniest bit or takes the slightest turn. All of that water is leaving that plate. But in your world, gravity should hold it onto that plate, okay? And that's just a car going 100 miles an hour. We're going speeds you can't even calculate, turning, speeding up, slowing down thousands of miles an hour, hundreds of thousands of miles an hour, and no one can ever measure it. No one can ever feel it. But gravity, the unproven thing is all you have, right? And by the way, your Newtonian gravity is what they don't even believe in that anymore. They believe in the bending of space-time because the Newtonian gravity has been proven to be nonsense. So now they're saying it's Einsteinian gravity, which is the bending of space-time.
I argued for Newtonian gravity, so I don't know.
Yeah, well, you're arguing against
no relevance.
Yeah, the entire thing.
Yeah, I can do that. I can do that, and you can't disprove it. So
get my app, watch the gravity section, watch some other things. Maybe you'll learn, maybe you won't. It doesn't seem like it. Seems like you're really, really dug in. So as I said a little while ago, enjoy your ball. Enjoy your ball. Enjoy your limited world, man. Peace.